John first met his lover when he was 8. She was a beautiful dancer, clothed in a sparkling, wavy dress of red and gold, her hair flowing and glowing in a ginger wave as she pranced and twirled across the hearth. The moment he saw her, he knew that she was the one, his shining star. For the whole day his heart had ached with longing, and he yearned strongly for her to the extent that he was unable to concentrate on his work. At the slightest thought of her spinning figure, his chest hurt as though 1,000 knives had been stabbed deep into it. He thought that she must share his love, as she seemed to dance only for him. As his passion grew, John asked his parents about her. He was told that she was a being called fire, merely the manifestation of a great heat, and that she danced for everyone who wanted to see her. He was mildly discouraged, and sat dejected in his room for a few weeks. But soon his yearning was back, stronger than ever, and it leaped higher and higher with every thump of his poor scarred heart. He would win her over and make her love him. He would make her dance for him, with that bright eagerness that only she had, and make her his. After this, he searched everywhere for any sign of her. No matter she be perched on the birthday candles of a cake, burning cheerily in the grate of the fireplace, or flickering gently within the glass confines of street lamps, he would always stand and watch her dance, and was always quite sorry when one of them had to go. One day, this all changed, beginning on the day that he turned 18. His parents had died in a plane crash upon returning from their holiday in a foreign country, when they were unfortunate enough to hit a hurricane in the middle of the ocean. The plane sunk, and according to the search boats, there were no survivors on the wreck. John wasn't particularly upset about this. As long as he had his beautiful dancer, he could cope with any loss in the world. As he searched through their room, he found the most precious treasure in the world. A little box filled with little wooden sticks, with a red bulbous tip, that his parents had hidden from him ever since his obsession with fire. They were the key to everything. Everything! For each one of those things was an opportunity to summon his fiery beauty. Every night, John lit one of those matches and threw it into the fireplace. The flower of his heart would spiral up in a large burst of flame and begin to dance jovially in the grate, the glowing logs spewing smoke beneath her bright feet. She would dance for him as long as he gave her food, which pleased him greatly. He was quite sad when he ran out of logs to feed her, for they only lasted a short while. John felt obliged to satisfy her insatiable hunger. After all, she often danced for him late into the night, and not providing for her needs would be folly. He did a little research on his flaming lover, and found that she liked alcohol. So every day he bought pints and pints of alcohol from his inherited fortune, and also brought some puppets he found in his childhood bedroom, where she could perch on to enjoy her meal and entertain him. She seemed to like it a lot, and danced more furiously every night, her slim figure whirling this way and that, leaping and prancing over the smiling puppets. When she grew tired and dwindled away to rest, what was left of the puppets would always be just a small black lump, smelling sweetly of the scent of burning. When all the puppets had turned into strongly smelling lumps of coal, he bought bigger ones from an old doll maker. They were sometimes so big that they didn't fit in the hearth, so John had to drag them down into his basement, where he could summon his lady love. After a while, he bought better puppets from an old friend of his. They were wonderful puppets, and jerked and moved in remarkably lifelike ways, sometimes so viciously that he had to tie their kicking legs and flailing arms together, and drag them down the stairs by their collars. And their singing, how musical it was! As he dragged them down the steps, John listened to them screech like barn owls, continuous and musical without any discord. Then, when he finally got them all down in this stone basement, he locked the door and allowed them a drink of alcohol to prepare them for the dance. His hands were often shaky from the effort of dragging them, and accidentally spilled some over their faces. When this happened, they shrieked at him and cursed him with bitter words and tossing heads. In response, he shook his head with marvel at how well the puppets were made, and told them that he was just excited to see the performance. This never seemed to satisfy them, and they chattered even louder. Then, as he lined them up and turned them loose, he used one of the little sticks to summon his girl. She liked the new puppets a lot. With a sizzle of laughter, she danced over their heads, jumping and hopping from one puppet to another, with great grace and ease, twirling and spinning in intricate patterns, her red and gold dress swirling and billowing about her, her slender arms waving to the music of the shrill, quick melody of the puppet's song. The puppets enjoyed the performance too. They danced with great clumsy leaps and flapping limbs. Their eyes rolled back with the pleasure, and their mouths opened in a chorus of bird-like screams. John decided that their dancing wasn't as beautiful as his lady love, but even so, he grew more excited with each performance. He dragged a small couch down into the basement where he could enjoy it more thoroughly. More! More! He would stamp his feet and shriek at them. The puppets would, to his increasing delight, sing even louder and dance even more ecstatically, their legs bucking and kicking, their arms waving and swaying in bizarre patterns. His shining star seemed to like them as well. She danced with increasing delight and energy, leaping higher and higher, her waving hands gesturing and clapping madly, her legs whirling and her red gold hair flowing out in rolling waves. Her delight was so intense that John was delighted when she began to sing in a throbbing, crackling voice, so sweet and pure that he nearly cried with the beauty of it. He thought that those were the best days of his life. These happy days didn't last long. Soon, the police came to arrest him. He was confused at first, and insisted that he was just entertaining his lady love by providing her with lifelike dancing puppets. But the police didn't believe him. He had, they told him, murdered 100 young victims kidnapped by an illegal organization selling them on the black market. He was also told that he was to be executed the next day, for so many murders led to a death penalty, according to the law. They asked him how he preferred to be executed, as that was the way that the people of his country did things. A nice witch-style execution, he told them, burnt at the stake. That would hurt a lot, they replied. A bullet to the head would end it more quickly. No, he told them dreamily. Burning at the stake was the best execution method he could think of. They were puzzled, but they granted his wish. On the day of his execution, John found himself staring approvingly up at a giant stone pillar with a pile of firewood at the base of it. As they tied him to the pillar, he told them that alcohol would burn better. They told him to be quiet. The executioner threw the torch onto a pile of wood, which instantly burst into flame. He watched in utmost bliss as the flames licked tenderly up his leather shoes and over his body. His hair frizzed with the heat, and his clothes soon began to burn, melting away bit by bit before dropping to the ground as black ash. Before his eyes, his lover appeared, as beautiful and lovely as ever, but this time, she was right in front of him. He put her arms around him, and despite the agony of his flesh burning away into an ugly charcoal-like texture, he felt happy, for his wishes were fulfilled. His lady had accepted him at last. He died with a smile forever engraved on his face.